I guess if I could fix one thing or change one thing, at least in education, I would make it. And not pretending to funding is where no matter what school you went to, right, that you had the same opportunities as every other person in any other school. And there's a lot of talk, obviously, and to a good point, is smaller schools has so much less opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that to a sense, but I still believe that, whatever you put your mind to, I don't care what size your school is, they're going to do whatever they can to get you there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Josh Tarrell. Josh is the superintendent at Highland Schools in Highland, Wisconsin. Josh, tell us a little bit about you and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me on. Appreciate that. A little bit about me is I'm a superintendent in a small district, very small district in southwest Wisconsin. We're about an hour straight west of the capital of Wisconsin in Madison.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up, and this is actually my hometown that I currently work in.
Wow.
I've been a principal previous to a superintendent for probably 14, 15 years, and this is my third year as a superintendent. But I was a teacher previous to that. I taught agriculture and tech ed for 8 years, and then I started as a principal here in Highland, and then again, currently through a third year in as a superintendent, but have a wife, 3 lovely daughters, and here I am today. So
awesome. Congratulations on all of that.
Thank you.
Of that.
Thank you.
Kids are the best, aren't they? I have three. I have 3 myself, 1 girl and 2 boys, but yeah, they are. Are they grown on you, or are they still home with you and your wife?
I have 2 out, and 1 still in. So I have my oldest is she's in law school in Marquette.
Awesome.
My middle one is her freshman year at Eau Claire University. And then my youngest is a junior. So I got 1 more left in high school.
Yeah. So are you the superintendent at the school that she goes to?
Yes, I am. Yep.
Awesome.
She's right here. She's got to put up with her old man here at school. So
there you go.
All my daughters did.
There you go. That works. It works. You've always got that one thing, right? We always have that one thing that our kids just cannot get away from, because that's our profession. That's it for you. Yeah. I'm a speech therapist, as I told you, and one of the things, and I'm going to use my hands for those of you that are listening and not watching this, is the sign for stop is just you put your perpendicular, if you don't know, onto your other hand, stop, and then now is like 2 hook 'em horns, right? Now, and you pull it down. And so stop now in public. My kids knew that whatever they were doing, even if they were way across the parking lot or way across the whatever, and I didn't like how they were behaving and I got their eyes, they knew. And if they didn't stop whatever it was that I felt like they shouldn't be doing, then they heard from me and they were not I was not a happy mom, but it worked. And I'll tell you, my daughter even jokes about it now. She's like, man, I'll never forget those 2 signs as long as I live.
Yeah, so when you get kids in your own district that you work in, they know real quick about the expectation and how it's got to be a little different with you. You got to follow it to a T. So my kids were great, though. They followed it pretty good most of the time.
That's awesome. Yeah, they're kids. They're humans, right? We're all humans. Yeah. That's why I had to stop now. And they're great kids too. Actually, right now they all work for me. One of them's going to be leaving and going into he's got basic training for the Air National Guard starting in March. So cool. So he's going to go back to school. He's going to MSU. He's up in Michigan. So so we're about in the same place. My kids are just I think a tiny bit older than yours, but that's not what we came here to talk about. But I love family. So let's talk about Highland. What's going on at Highland?
Well, we just we're getting close to December now. It's just started, so we're into that second quarter, finishing up the semester here in the first. I can't believe actually how fast the school year is going, but we're rolling right along. Like, again, we're a small district, so we try to keep kids involved. We got our school play coming up here this weekend. My daughter's actually in the school play, but the winter sports are rolling. We play girls basketball, boys basketball. We have wrestling here, and we do a co-op with wrestling, a co-op with gymnastics. So all our winter sports are rolling, and so just, smooth sailing so far, knock on wood.
That's good. That's really good. That's good to hear. So what do you think is the most important thing that you bring to the table when it comes to being a superintendent?
Well, I think one of the I believe my strong suits, I guess, is and some may not agree with this. They say you shouldn't work in the same town that you live in or you're from,
Mm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
I have for, going on 16, 17 years as far as working here. It's
Yeah.
great because everybody knows you, they feel comfortable talking to, right? But it's tough because everyone knows you and they feel comfortable talking to you, right?
Exactly. It's a
So,
double-edged
but
sword, isn't it?
it is, it is. But I've been very, very lucky in my time here. I've always had a great school board to work with. My time as a
Mhm.
principal, I had good superintendents that were my bosses as I worked here before I became the superintendent, and I have great staff, great kids, great community. So, when you're a small community, our district is by far the hub of the community. We employ by far the most people in our community,
Oh,
and
wow. Mhm.
and we're proud of that. We're proud of the small town. We're proud of the opportunities kids get in a small town, and some might disagree with that, but obviously, being from here, my bias, definitely, definitely, I think our school is
Absolutely. We all are. Yeah,
that's right.
absolutely.
We all are. I believe this school is the greatest one that ever invented, right? So,
There you go. As you
but anyway,
should.
but
As you should. Yes,
yeah, but we
absolutely.
have definitely challenges too, with state budgets and all those things. It's really, really difficult to,
Mhm.
make ends meet every year, but we do our best.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you're not the first person who's talked to me. I mean, I know all schools are there's never enough money, but
Yep.
I've heard that a couple of times. Wisconsin's got something going on that's making it really difficult for you guys.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's, the way schools are funded here, obviously it all goes on, a number of students in your district, right? So they give
Mhm.
you your state aid according to the number, and we're right around $15,000 per student. But 70, almost upper 70% of districts in Wisconsin are declining, and that's true around the United States, obviously. In the last decade, I think there's over 50,000 less students in schools now than there were 10 years ago. And you got
Interesting.
your,
I was not aware of that.
yeah. So, with 78% of schools declining, and there's a lot of push right now at our state legislature that schools need to look at consolidation. And they're doing some different things to fund schools to, do studies, increase their state aid if you do consolidate. So those are some things that are on the table right now that I've been sharing with my board and my staff, just so they're aware of what's out there, and what some people may not realize is when, as I said, when you're a small district in a small town, that you know the community thrives around its school. The school, as I said, is the hub. So if you lose your school, I'm not saying if you consolidate, you lose your school, but it's obviously, as we know, it's different.
It
It's not
changes. Yeah, it changes.
changes.
Doesn't matter.
It
It
changes. And
changes. Yeah.
right. So
Mhm.
that's never happened, obviously, in Highland before. So it's definitely something that's out there that's, been talked about. But, in my opinion, like I said, being as biased as I am, I hope that we never have to, but we do need to
Mhm.
also consider, the taxes for our community. If they keep increasing and we get less students, there's some things we need to at least look at and consider. So if that's the best step, do we go there or not? I hope we never have to, but
Mhm.
we want to make sure we're doing what's best for kids, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And how many students did you say you guys have right now?
So we're about 200 and just around 250 4K through 12. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
so we
Yeah,
are
I
pretty
can
big.
see you getting gobbled up. I can see that. Yeah. Yeah. Understood. Yeah, that's and you're right to discuss it and voice it and sweeping it under the rug is not going to make it go away, is it?
No, no,
Yeah.
no.
So,
So we're doing a lot of things too, as far as, I try to reach out to our village board and our township boards and just talk about the things that they're doing, the things that we're doing. How can we work together? Can we, what are some ways we can possibly bring business in, bring students into our district, some more housing, all those things we talk about.
mhm.
And hopefully there's some ways we can work together. Social media is a huge thing and how you promote your school is huge. And,
Mhm.
and in small towns, little things that happen, everyone knows about pretty quick. So we want to make sure we get all those great things out there as often as we can, so we're
Mhm.
doing more with that and just promoting our school. The
Yeah.
vouchers are a thing here that in the next couple of years, students can go, families can choose to take their student wherever they want their child. Doesn't have to be in the district you live in. So the
Right?
schools pay vouchers. So that's becoming a big topic in the schools, public schools that pay out to voucher schools. Has an impact depending on how many. We don't have a large impact on that right now, but I know a lot of schools in our area do, and again, this goes back to, are you promoting your school? Are
Yeah.
we keeping the students here? So
So let's plug your school. Tell me the amazing things. You talked about sports. What are some of the other things that you do that
mhm.
make it so amazing? Make Highland a place where kids and parents would want to send their kids.
Yeah. I think a lot of the things that we do is, with the support from the community and the parents, we have what's called senior exit projects. I think is the thing we're really proud of. We're probably pushing 10 years on this now. I actually learned about it when I got my superintendent's license at Viterbo University here in Wisconsin. And one of my professors up there did it at their school. Is actually West Salem. So I went up and I
Mm-hmm.
watched it, and I thought, man, we gotta do this. So I came back, talked to a couple of teachers, and we've been doing it the last 10 years. So every senior before they can graduate has to have what's called a senior project. So they get to learn about a topic of their choice. So we're hoping, we want them to push their envelope, get outside the
Yeah.
box and learn about something that and we've had everything from cancer awareness where they did how to treat someone that's going into, the medical field. We've had people that, refinish and rebuilt motors on cars and rebuilt motors
Wow.
on tractors. We've had, we had a student last year that wrote her own book, wrote a children's book, authored it. And, we had a student that did some kind of research on like kidneys and things like that. And when they did a where they could donate blood, right? They found out this person was a match, and actually, because of a project, it learned back where this kid actually donated blood to save someone's life. It was, I think it's just they learn how to, they have to do or write a paper, they have to reach out to a mentor, they have to interview people, so they have to, the things I thought would be the hardest for students weren't, and the things that I thought would be the easiest for students were the hardest. For example, they have to call someone and actually talk to them, and
Oh
it's
my goodness, not
amazing.
this generation.
Well,
Oh
no,
no, no, no.
it is.
Let's text. No, 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 no. I
Yeah,
know my kids are the same way. It's like it blows, and I tried to get them to the place where they would pick up the phone and call, and they do not. This
that's right.
generation
I'll
just
just shoot a
does
text.
not.
No, 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 no. You need to call, talk to someone, set up an interview.
Hmm.
How do you etiquette wise, how do you set up your interview times? You can't just call and say, hey, I'm available in 5 minutes. Are you available? It doesn't
Doesn't
work
work
that
that
way.
way.
Set
No.
up some times, shake their hands, sit down, ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And the thing you find out is a lot of kids find out actually when they, through their senior projects, not just what they might want to go in, but what they find out they don't want to go in. Say, oh, I
Ah.
tried it. I don't really want to do that anymore. So that's good. Saves them some money in the
Yeah.
long run, with the trades, at least in Wisconsin, I'm sure other places, other states too, the trades are so big right now and so popular, and we need them. There's
Hmm.
the baby boomers are retiring and we need people to
Yep.
replace them. So the trades are a great field right now. And we're getting a lot of our seniors that are finding great career opportunities right out of high school, starting in the trades. So
Yeah, yeah. I've talked to several schools that are doing that same thing, just that mentorship and getting their kids to explore what they love. And, if you love what you do, you never work another day in your life, right?
that's right.
So,
That's right.
for sure. So that's fantastic. So how do you do this I'm sure you have a small special education population, but I'd be remiss to ask you because I'm an SLP. So how do you do that? How do you do those projects for them? Is it just modified scale? How does that work?
Correct. So we look at each person's IEP. So that's the individual education plan.
Yep.
And if they have an IEP, we look at it and make sure we meet obviously the criteria within the IEP. And then if for example, if it's an 8-page paper that, that maybe for them it's 6 pages, or if you have to
Hmm.
find 8 references, maybe there's a 6, or if your mentor, normally it has to be someone that's outside the district and not related to you. But if it's a person that really struggles, that has a tough home life, and the only person, obviously we work with all of our students to make sure it's the right fit for
Yeah.
each of them as best we can. Yeah,
That's good. That's
yeah,
really good. Yeah. And they need to be included for sure. We don't want to exclude them. We were talking about
that's right.
transitions and all of that in my last call and work trying, they have a work program. It's called Bridges. And it was really great conversation because there's so many things I was telling her on that podcast that sometimes we see them as their disability instead of as the people that they are. I know you guys don't do that and educators don't. But it's just a really interesting dynamic when you get them to do something that they love and they're having fun. That disability doesn't make any difference anymore because they are doing something that they love, and they'll like anybody else, they'll thrive if you put them in a place where they feel like they have value and that they can do it, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. We also
Yeah.
work with a local tech school. It's just 20 miles down the road, Southwest Tech, who's got an excellent junior color um, tech program, and we have students that with IEPs that graduate technically from here, but they go on and they work another year within this program and they find out different jobs for them. So we can get people that would have IEPs that, find a place that they can be successful and they love, while still technically in our district. So it's been working. We've done
Nice.
it probably the last 4 or 5 years now. It's been working very, very well. We're very proud of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that because it means so much to them. It means so much to their parents. Nobody wants to go. I mean, maybe somebody does, but I'm a type A, so I'll never do that. I've never not worked. I just have never not worked. And I know there are women that have never worked a day in their life because they've been or a man. It doesn't matter. I guess I shouldn't be biased there, but I am. But there's more women that don't work than men when it's in a couples relationship. But I never could. I never could be just stay-at-home mom. And that's a hard job. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's not a hard job. I have to be doing. I have to be serving in a way that makes me feel fulfilled. So giving them an opportunity to do that too is beautiful. So yeah, very nice. Very nice. Okay, so what would you say right now, other than the funds, is your biggest challenge?
Um, I think the biggest challenge, yeah, other than obviously the budget, and the biggest challenge is, the world of a student is changing. It used to be like when I was a kid, you see a generational change maybe every 10 years. Now it seems like it's even closer to 3 and 4, so seems like 3 or 4 is a different kid, and the students aren't like they used to be, good and bad. There's some things that, they're so much smarter than what my generation is, and they're learning so much more at a younger age than we did, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But, the concern is, I get a lot of employers that call me and say, "Hey, Josh," says, "what's going on with these kids today?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, they're just not ready for, they're just, it's taking them longer to be independent, I guess." And, people talk about, "Hey, we're widening the plate, we're dropping the expectation because the students just aren't ready yet." And that's a concern for me. And I think it's a concern for a lot of employers, especially in the trades where these, the kids get out of high school and they go in the workforce and they can, but they're having a hard time keeping employees, and there's a lot of jobs out there right now. And kids today are young, 25 to 20 to 25-year-olds, it's common for them to switch jobs.
Yes.
Where, 15 years ago, it wasn't like that because there's so many jobs out there and depending what field you're in. But, that's a concern for me. Are we getting the most out of kids and holding them to an expectation? And, because they'll meet it. If you hold them to it, they'll meet it.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
you got to work with parents and you got to work with staff and you got to work with business owners to, we just got to do it a little different than we did before, I think. So, but that's a challenge.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Occupational therapy shouldn't be one more thing on your plate. It should be a solution. Lighthouse Therapy offers school-based occupational therapy services that actually work for you and your staff. Our OTs have an average of 16 years of experience in schools, and they support everything from handwriting to fine motor to sensory integration. And you can choose from 3 different service models, whether it be virtual, hybrid, or in person. It's OT that fits your workflow without the chaos. Visit lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together to learn more. So I was talking earlier with somebody about cell phones and about social media. And we all know that it's hard. It's hard. There are schools. Texas, as a matter of fact, has said no devices in schools. I mean, I don't know if I need to look up the law because I've talked about it a couple of times and I don't have all the details and I really should have the details. But I know that it's I've talked to and been to some co-ops where they've talked about the new law that was coming, and now we're 6 months a semester in, and some are doing waivers for it and some are just cold turkey, no phones, and it's just I can't even imagine not having my phone because I work so much from my phone when I'm not sitting at my desk. But I also own my own business, and I know I let at night it's off. So it's just a matter of how do you navigate those kinds? I mean, and now AI, how do you navigate all that? What are your thoughts about all of that?
Well, the cell phones have been a change for us again this year. So I've been pursuing getting cell phones out of the classroom here the last couple of years. 2 years ago, obviously work with the board, and I got a great board, so they've been very proactive. But we've had meetings with parents, we had sit downs, we talked about what they're doing and how they're affecting learning, and obviously meeting with staff. All the staffs can be on the same page. So we got the cell phones out of the classroom. They keep them in their lockers. They can have them at lunch, and then they put them back in their lockers again. And so far this year, we're into, it's just about a semester into it, and it's been better than last year.
Awesome.
Obviously, we have your frequent flyers where we've got their cell phones a few times. So then, they get one warning, and then they have a small detention, and the parents got to come in and get it. So we have the step process progressively. But, I just actually had a meeting here a little while ago, last week maybe, when we talked about it, and the cell phones are a lot less of an issue. Not a zero issue, but a lot less than they have been previously, because you're right. The kids we could go on and on about the effects of cell phones, right? And now we have AI. So we have, how often is AI being used by students when it shouldn't be, and how often can we make it a tool because it's not going away, obviously.
No,
right?
It's not going away. We know that. Yeah.
It's a great tool when it's used the right way, just like a cell phone. But, as far as how to teach with it and how to teach without it is something that every district is still learning. So Wisconsin actually just passed a law where cell phones are banned now in the classroom. So
it's not just not. There you go. See, that's the thing.
But we've been doing that before that, so we were ahead of the game there. But it is definitely we just had actually about a month ago, we had a community meeting where we talked about, I don't know if you read the chance to read The Anxious Generation by John Haidt, but we did a book talk on that with the community, and it talks exactly about the effect that social media and the, cell phones, is particularly the iPhones, with anything that has internet on it, what it's doing to our youth. And it's not good. It's not good.
No.
We're trying to do it where we at least get them out of their hands until they're in eighth, or until they're past eighth grade, their freshman year. I know that's difficult for young parents. Obviously, my kids are all older than that now, so I don't have the effects that the younger families do, and they're navigating that. But we had a good turnout on that, and there's a lot of people talking about, hey, if we all do this together and not get our kids cell phones, they're not doing that. Right. Well, she has one, why can't I get one? He's got one, I need one too, type of thing, where parents feel like they need to. So hopefully, we're starting to turn where we're learning a lot more of the effects and the negative effects of them now that we didn't know even 5 years ago. So it's coming around, I think, but it's definitely a process.
Yeah, we grew up without cell phones for sure. No seatbelt. I didn't have any seatbelts, and no airbags. There were no airbags. There was a garden hose for water when we were out, and it was hot. No shoes. You ran around all summer without shoes on. Different world. It's a totally different world. But that's and I see both sides of that coin. I really do. You get the parents. Well, how am I going to get a hold of my child? Well, how did we do it? And yet. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough thing. And the beautiful thing about cell phones and larger devices is they are becoming, talk about the speech therapist in me and the AI or the AAC part of me, augmentative alternative communication. See that? I just did it. They're on tablets now. I mean, you don't have to have this great big clunky machine that was a communication device. I mean, you literally can use an iPad, and it's amazing. So I see the positives and I see the negatives, and I always tell people, even in this industry, there is no balance. You never get a perfect balance. The teeter totters either this way or it's this way. It's never level. So, I think that's part of what makes being an educator so beautiful, is that you're not doing the same thing over and over and over and over. Yeah. Even year after year, you're not going to do the same thing, right?
That's one thing. I mean, if you want change, just wait 10 minutes. Education's changing, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
We talk about the cell phones now, like obviously younger than we are. We talk about the younger generations and now having kids getting at school, right? They live with cell phones, so they know obviously a lot more than I about how the effects. But if they're addicted to it, like most adults are to them, right? We're seeing that where they're on that phone instead of spending time with their kids, read them a book, get off that phone. And it's hard for people to break that habit.
Yeah. One of the things at my house is no phones at the table. My husband and I are guilty of, like, in the morning at breakfast, catching up on the news or whatever while we're having breakfast. But the fact that we're sitting together for breakfast is pretty amazing anyway.
You don't see it very often.
No, no, and we're definitely, what is it, Gen Xers. You know, I was born in the '60s, so, and he was still in the '60s, but barely. But it's just, you know, I got a year and a half on him, so he loves to tease me too. He's like, "Yeah, I married a cougar," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, a cougar at 15 months, darling. I doubt that." And I look younger than him. Ha ha ha.
There you go. There you go.
So anyway, but you know, it's fascinating to me, and I love the technology, and I love what it offers. But you do have to set limits. You have to set limits for yourself. You have to set limits for your kids. You have to set limits, like you guys are doing in the schools. It's just. But it's, again, it's about having self-control and executive functioning skills to be able to say to yourself, I don't need this right now, you know?
Right. And then you take a 15, 14, 18-year-old kid, their brains aren't ready. I mean, their brains not developed fully till they're 25, 26. So they're not ready for that yet. They can't, the process of, so the longer they can wait on those things, man, the better. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting too. Like I said, I have 3, and my youngest got his. So we got rid of the landline in our house when we started doing the cell phone thing. So, and I got a cell phone for my kids once they started driving, right? When that way they could, not that it helped me, because half the time they had the darn thing on vibrate anyway, or silent. My daughter drives off in a Jeep with a flat tire, and I'm screaming at her, running down the road. She's not seeing me. I call her cell phone. And then 10 minutes later, Mom, the Jeep won't go over 45 miles an hour. And I was like, yeah, because you have no tire left. She shredded it. She's going to kill me for telling that story, but she shredded it. But it was just, so the 2 older ones had phones once they were driving, but we still had that house phone. Well, that house phone ended up being my 13-year-old son's phone, because now nobody needed that house phone. And he will tell you, the point of this long story is, he will tell you, he's like, I am probably more addicted to a phone, and he's 23, than my sister and my brother are. Just because he had it, or he got it earlier by default. And you just go, and even then, even as a parent that was very proactive, but he's an adult, I can't tell him what to do now. And I certainly can advise as a parent, but you can't make your kids anything, right? But he tells me that he's confessed. He's like, I don't like not having my phone. If I can't find my phone, he called me one time. He went skiing up in Cabrafay, which is in Michigan. He lived in Grand Rapids at the time. And he had his phone in his pocket, and he was on a lift, and it fell out. And it's like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Mom, I don't know how to get home. I don't have my GPS. I lost my phone. He did not know how to even read it. Well, he didn't even have one. He didn't have a map. Who has a paper map in their car anymore,
We still have one in our kids' vehicles, but they never use it. I don't think they know how, to be honest with you. I agree. It's without, they don't know how to read a road sign.
No,
here's your road sign. Which way is it going? Anyway, but
exactly. But it's a good point, because, I mean, and the funny thing is too, the next day, my husband gets a call from my son's phone. He's like, picks it up, and he's like, oh, you found your phone? No, it wasn't even him. They found his phone. They found it. But by that time he'd gotten home. But it was just, just those kinds of things you don't even think about, like so many things that we take for granted from our phones. Yes, the amazing things that they are. But boy, if you're not ready for it, I get it. I totally get it. All right. One last question. And then, because I'm rambling and I don't want to ramble. It's your podcast and I'm rambling. If you could miraculously fix one thing in your world, not money, not everybody needs more money. We know that. But if you could miraculously fix just one thing in your world, and I know we talked a lot about cell phones, but is there something else that if you could fix it and never have to deal with it again, what would that one thing be?
Oof. I guess if I could fix one thing or change one thing, at least in education, I would make it, and not pretending to funding is where, no matter what school you went to, right, that you had the same opportunities as every other person in any other school, right? And there's a lot of talk, obviously, and to a good point, is smaller schools has so much less opportunity, right? I agree with that to a sense, but I still believe that, whatever you put your mind to, I don't care what size your school is, they're going to do whatever they can to get you there. If you want to be a doctor, if you want to be an attorney, well, we got doctors, we got attorneys that come from our school. We got, and we don't have a lot of chaos that a lot of bigger schools may have, a lot of the issues with, that bigger city schools or suburban city schools might have that we don't. So But if that was one thing that I didn't have to worry about, a kid have to find their niche or a kid have this or that we don't have, I guess that would probably be my one wish, I guess, if I
Yeah.
could like.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
So, Josh, where do people come to learn more about Highland School District and maybe you? Where would they go?
Yeah, if they want to just click on our website, highlandcommunityschools.com, and they come right to our website, and or you can give us look on our website. We got our phone number. Give us a call. Stop in. We'll give you a tour. Love to have anybody want to come out and see what we're doing out here. So
Awesome. Awesome. Well, it has been a pleasure, Josh. You definitely are doing an amazing job, I can tell. And I'm excited for your daughter who has a couple more years at home with you guys, but then she's going to be an empty nesters. I'm telling you,
empty nester.
it's empty nesters. It's an adjustment. Been there, done that. I crochet now.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd crochet, but it keeps me busy.
There you go. There you go. Well, I appreciate you so much having taken the time to have me on. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and you just have a wonderful holiday. It's right now, folks, it's December 4th, 2025. So we got 3 weeks. Christmas is in 3 weeks, but
3 weeks.
by the time this comes out, Christmas and New Year's will be over. But
okay.
but Merry Christmas. Thank you.
You as well. Thank you.